You're a goblin, a demon, a boomer tard. You're so mean. I'm your dude. Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie, I need a ginger Jew. Can't take it. Boomer tard, you're so mean. I'm your dude. Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie, icons are idolatry. Why do you pray to dead people? That's the traditions of men, you heretic. Wow, 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 wow. I'm your dude. Is this your first time on the interwebs? Shady, I need a ginger Jew. Can't take it, these low tier slow boys. I'm your dude. What's your epistemic justification? That argument is circular, and you are refuted.
It's not crafty.
Jamie! Could you make me an espresso? Okay, we're gonna open it up. Let's keep it on topic. 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. Icons are idolatry. J, but J, can I talk? But it was an ex-cathedra. If God is real, why does he allow evil? Why do you pray to dead people? Traditions of men, it's a no-brainer. You're such a tyrannical reigner. Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie! I need a ginger Jew. Can't take it, these low-tier slow boys. Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie! I need a ginger Jew. Was that an uncreated foot fart? Unmute, dude. Stop repeating my name, dude. You goobers call in, or I'll boot you. Where did we get the Bible from? Have you read the canons of Franzia? What are you, Catholic? Are you Protestant? I'm not trying to be mean, but do you have an actual argument? There is only one church. You are in a cult. You're a goblin, a demon, a boomer tard. Quick question. Do we have any diddy-back venerators in the chat? Oh! Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie! I need a ginger Jew. Can't take it, these low-tier slow boys. Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie! I need a ginger Jew. If you're a wine mom, front of the line. Unmute, dude. What is your epistemic justification? That argument is circular, and you are refuted. Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie! I need a ginger Jew. Can't take it, these low-tier slow boys. Is this your first time on the interwebs? Jamie! I need a ginger Jew. If you're a wine mom, front of the line. Unmute, dude.
Oh yeah! There's only one thing that can bring this world together, and that begins with you. The word begins with you, not you. I'm gonna tell you what word it is. Usury! On the dance floor. Get that ass up. Bankers, get on the floor. Bankers, make the people poor. Bankers, get more paid. Bankers, get more name. Get more name. I wanna see your ass poor. CEOs, yeah, I'm talking to you. Get more hoes, get more paid, get more votes, get more laid. I wanna see the CEOs ruining lives to the beat. Ruin those lives in 141 BPMs.
Until the monkey, you climbed up in that
what you doing up there? Why you scared? Why you running from every debate? You ran from Andrew and from me. You like they female monkeys with their bananas between their trees, hanging down upside down, frown, that's a smile. That's a smile. That Dilla monkey, what you doing to me? Dilla monkey, Dilla monkey.
Ow! Feeling James Brown. Ah! Kurt Franklin.
What you doing to me?
Dilla monkey. Whoa!
Dilla monkey.
Welcome everybody. It's a Saturday night. Why not do it? Why not open it up? Is there any? There's one more song. There's a MK Ultra version of the Matt Dillon Monkey song.
Little monkey, you climbed up in that tree. What you doing up there? Why you scared? Why you running from every debate? You ran from Andrew and from me. Little monkey, little monkey, little monkey. You like the female monkeys? Bananas between their trees, hanging down, upside down, frown, that's a smile. What you doing to me?
Nobody wants to come to debate. Everybody's running away as soon as they done got here. Fear will keep the local starships and star colonies in line. Fear is the mind killer. Alright, people are running away. I ain't sitting here for this crap. I ain't gonna sit here for this crap. 55 people in line, and we've only got 2 people who want to come on and do the debates. Okay, one dude came back. He came back. We got a couple super chats, and then I'm going to open it up right away. Volpes, $5. Bruh, give me a Terrence McKenna impression talking about Tawheed.
Well, Tawheed is when you can't talk about the unity of the being because it's essentially a hidden deity, hence the term Tawheed.
H. Brossi, $5. Make it fiat clap. Make that fiat clap. Zalmox says $5. It's the year of love. It's the year of love. I can't sing with my perfect hair metal inflection like I would like to because I still have a cold, but it's almost gone. Eric Z, $2. I like this stream. That means it's an algorithm push. That's what I like to hear. This man, he knows the nature of the industry and the business. You know what I'm saying? He knows how the industry work. Yes, you can still super chat with Streamlabs. Mr. B. Excuse me. Holy. Holy says, we got some pervs up in the chat already. Holy says, let me see them toes. Uh-oh. All you get today, you get some, I'll show you my toes, but they're only going to be, they're modest toes. Because they're covered, get it? They're covered because I got socks on. Modest toes. We got a bunch of people in line. I'm going to go to all these people. Piling. Mr. B, $10. I saw a Redditor. He said that Matt Dillahunty really won the debate. Well, I guess that's it. I guess it's over. If a person on Reddit said that Matt Dillahunty won, I guess that it's over. He won. This Redditor said that even though Matt's arguments weren't very good, he was right, so he won the debate. Yeah, there we go. That sounds about like what I would expect from that vibe, from that vibe from that Reddit community. H. Brazzi, $5. Some of the cringecore songs are flat out hard, like Bankers. That stuff is objectively Project Pat certified. I like that techno remix that Sal did of Bankers. That's pretty hardcore, dude. What is your epistemic justification for quantum skibbity toilet? Says it's DJ for $5. I can't talk today. I don't even know what's going on. Torin loves Jesus. Let's go. Jay, I'm glad you got monetized. Not monetized, monetized. Thank you. I enjoy being monetized. Voice of Reason's face in the thumbnail got me laughing. You wrong for that. I ain't do nothing. I ain't do nothing. What you think I did? I ain't do nothing. I don't know what the hell voice that was supposed to be. I was making a joke to Tristan that when he becomes a black gay performer, that I've already figured out the catty, gossipy kind of RuPaul character name that it would be. And when Tristan becomes a catty, RuPaul, gossipy black performer, his name is going to be Infinity. It's a combination of envy and infinity because Tristan has infinite envy. So he's Infinity, but he's like RuPaul. That's how he would laugh. So that's what that character was. I just realized. Bryce Shea, $5. If God real, why Yakub make white race? A challenging question. A fair question. A question that any apologist worth his medal would struggle to answer. I can't even keep up. There's so many. The super chats are just rolling in. I'm trying to get to them all. No, that's it. Thank y'all. Welcome everybody. We got more super chats rolling in. John Kell says for $20, made a fiat clap. Everybody likes the techno version of that song. It's beating out my original 1993 Euro dance version of it. So I was going to go to it, but maybe not. We'll never get anywhere if I keep playing music all day. But thank y'all. Welcome everybody. We got 500 Chad nerds in the chat. You can sign up, by the way, become a Chad Nerd member on YouTube memberships. We've only been remonetized for like 9 or 10 days, and we already got almost 200 members. That's crazy, dog. Is our stream health okay? What's going on? It seems like it says it's okay. Is it skipping? Because I tried to fix the... I guess it's about the best we're going to get. Mr. B, $20. Jay, when he learned that his channel got monetized, Jay, he remembered this community full of acoustic spurgs. Is that standing for autism? And he has to read out all this garbage. I wouldn't characterize the beloved super chatters as garbage. All right, now is it gonna start dropping down the stream health? I mean, as long as y'all can hear me, you don't need to see my face. Because I tried to up the bit rate. I thought that might help. I don't know if it's gonna work or not. Somebody said, I work for Verizon. Call me and I'll help you. How are you going to help, dude? It's not a Verizon problem. You think I haven't had damn Comcast or whoever it is out here like 10 times? And you just can't, I mean, there's no, I don't know what the answer is. If you try to live stream, it doesn't have a consistent bit rate. It goes down and then it pops up. And then it drops and back up. Drops and back up. Drops and back up. And that's all it's ever been here. And I've had them out here I don't know how many times. And the workers don't even know what it is. So I can lower the bit rate and it still does all the same stuff. So David Flood gifting out memberships. Demas gifting it out. Elder Leon. Leon!
Howdy, stranger. Got some new wares. Howdy, stranger. Got some new arguments. Got a bit of precept for ya.
Skipped frames. 45% in 2 minutes. John Kell, do another goal. Did we already meet that goal? Okay. Start another goal. How about I'm gonna set this like super high. Magenta goal for 3 hours. How's that? 10 super chats for over $50. When I make like $1,000 on this stream, you're gonna get your next impression. I'm trying to get this started. We get so many super chats rolling in, which is fine with me. Do another goal. Okay, done. John Kell, thank you so much. J.R. Hasbro, 5 books. I'm looking forward to Esoteric Hollywood Part 3. Are you going to mention Raising Cain, especially Director's Cut? Yes. There's going to be a De Palma section. And we're going to be talking about Raising Cain. We're going to talk about The Fury. We're going to talk about... What's that one with the dude that kind of goes mind control crazy over prawn? We took notes on it. I forget the name of it. Discord. What's up? Shout out. Open up the task manager and check the performance. You talking about the task manager in YouTube Studio? It just says stream health poor. The task manager in Streamlabs will just say skipped frames detected, 46% last 2 minutes. So it's always the same. John Kell, $50. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. What percentage is the computer running at? I don't think it's a computer problem. The computer's running at like 20-30%. It says. See, I can see the stream rate, and it drops to 3,000, and it goes up to 6,000. And it'll stay at about 6,000, and then it'll drop to 3,000 and come back. And it's always done that ever since I've lived here. And it doesn't matter how many times people come out here, there is no known solution. So, I mean, it'll go up to 12,000 kilobytes a second. Then it'll say your stream quality is good, 7,000. And then, boom, it drops to 3, and then it comes back. So, nobody knows. What's up? We got over 1,000 people. Wow, everybody has piled up in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Aha! Let's get it started in here. Antonios Banderos.
Hi, Jay.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good.
Good to hear. I hope you're having a good start to the year. Thanks for taking my query. It's just a random... sorry, Australian accent. Yeah. I'll try and not be too weird this time, but it might be. Sorry.
Got some new ways. Got some new ways for ya. Howdy, stranger.
Oh, Jesus. Excuse me, sorry for the blasphemy for everyone here. I was just wondering if you've read anywhere about any discussion about Adam and Eve in the sense of when overall and potentially metaphysics, but things about that?
I have not. I mean, are you referring to the soul?
Yeah, potentially. Like, the way I see it, it is a definitely separate soul that Eve would have had, assuming that we all follow from Adam and Eve, and that's how things would have been handed down to us thereafter. But, I know God breathed life into Adam, and, perpetual life would have gone through that, but there was no specific sort of like mention as to if when the soul comes to Eve, if it would have been inside Adam from the beginning, or if it as soon as she was created, because I guess you could ask, you could beg to say, like, when does life actually begin, even when it comes to, abortion and things like that. So I'm just wondering if there's ever been any discussions on when she received her
I don't know
soul.
about Eve, but I mean, St. Maximus teaches that the soul is created at the moment of conception. But thank you for that. Magic Mike, Orthodox man stripper, trying to come up in here. Ew.
Yo, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yo, what's up? I had a question about precept, and then I wanted to go where I disagree about salvation. So, I know you take the presuppositional approach in terms of apologetic methodology, but you rely on Presbyterian Reform guys such as Van Til, Gregory Basin. So, where do you disagree with them and Woody?
So where did transcendental arguments come from?
I don't know. I'm just trying to learn about it.
So who do you think was the first to posit transcendental arguments? You don't know?
No.
Okay, well, they're in Aristotle. Okay, John Damascus refers to transcendental argument at the very beginning of Fountain of Knowledge. Idealist, he uses transcendental arguments. So there's nothing necessarily about transcendental argumentation that it makes it the property of the Reformed. Furthermore, an argument stands on its own, and it doesn't really matter what group makes the argument, right? So do you know about the genetic fallacy?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the genetic fallacy? What's the genetic fallacy?
It's like when the particular group...
Yeah, right. So what does that have to do with whether it's true or not? Hello? Are you there? Yo!
In presuppositional apologetics, like their starting point of their methodology kind of relies upon tulip and total depravity, and how there's no like neutral ground and things like that.
Okay, well, there's plenty of philosophers who teach that that reality is not theory neutral. So are they all Calvinists?
No.
Right.
No.
So there's nothing about theory neutrality. There's nothing about transcendental argumentation or any of that necessitates Calvinism, and that's why I always argue that it's so.
Okay. So how do you understand? So I wanted to talk about salvation and orthodoxy. So how do you understand? I've heard your lectures too, Yenny, how you say that faith alone, justification by faith alone isn't true because the person, when they come to Jesus Christ, they don't go through metaphysical change in themselves. Is that correct?
That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah. So so let's say when that happens, right? So like, and how do you know, like, how much work do you have to do to be like metaphysically go through a change and be justified in God's eyes, in your view?
Well, Christ's life is the paradigm model, and so there's always synergy between the human nature and the divine nature, and that's why, for example, all the early church fathers and even the first generation, baptism is a work that's necessary, repentance is a work that's necessary. Jesus says that this is the work of God, that you believe on him whom he has sent. So faith in Christ is also you flesh it out, like all of these works are necessary to be saved. Peter says in Acts 2, repent and be baptized for the remission of sins. And we know he's talking about water baptism because they immediately do water baptism. So it's not a secret Calvinist regeneration baptism, it's actual water baptism. Titus 3 calls it the washing of regeneration. So all of those things are the beginning point of salvation. Salvation is a process, one-time thing. It's your whole life, and it's the eschaton ultimately.
Sure. So let me just go back to the point you mentioned about the spiritual baptism, right? So when you read the book of Acts and they get towards the start of the book, they get the spirit, what is it? The baptism of the Holy Spirit. They weren't physically baptized in water. There's no mention of that. So how does that?
You have no idea what you're talking about. Have you not read Acts 2? I specifically cited Acts 2:30 people right after that, which is why I said that's how we know they're talking about water baptism. Pentecost is not a spiritual baptism separate from something else. That's the coming of the Holy Spirit in power. And when Peter preaches at Pentecost, what does he tell the people in Acts 2:38 and 2:39?
Repent and be baptized. Is that
okay? And then what is he talking about there? Is it you're telling me that's not water baptism, even though they literally baptize the people in water right after that?
Yeah. So I know I do get that is water baptism for
sure.
Well,
you just said it's not water baptism, though.
No, I'm talking about earlier in the Acts chapter. I'm talking about the apostles themselves who water baptized the apostles because
booths and weeks. That's what Jesus promised in in John 14, 15, 16. They
get water baptized.
Well, they didn't have to be baptized because they're the beginning of the foundation stones of the church, and Jesus tells them to baptize.
Okay, fair point.
And also, water baptism didn't occur with anybody in the Old Covenant, and they're all saved in the same way. But that doesn't mean that after this point, that's not the means by which regeneration occurs.
Okay, fair point. Yeah, but I have another question about salvation by faith alone, right? So, like, what is the position of works in your understanding? Like for example, I'm talking about just the sanctification, right? Is sanctification necessary for justification? But if you say in works to be justified, I mean, I know you said that like coming repenting.
Yeah, the mistake is that you think of justification as a legal status, and it's not. It's that's part of the analogy. But in Romans 4, when Paul cites Genesis 15, that's after Abraham has already been doing 3 chapters of good works. So Abraham should not have been justified, quote unquote, in Genesis 15 if your reading of Romans 4 is correct. See, Romans 4 refutes the Calvinist interpretation. Do you understand what I mean by that argument?
Yeah, I get that. So, like, how do you understand, like, to the Calvinistic chain in Romans when he talks about, you were justified, and then he also just says that you were called, justified, and then glorified. It's all like linked together.
It is, but what you're missing as a Calvinist is that that's written to an actual visible group of people in Rome, as a group the predestined. Did Paul write that in Rome and Ephesus?
Can't you say it's both?
No, it can be both, because how can he call the entire visible group the elect and the predestined? Because they're not.
So that right
in
there
wouldn't
apply to today?
What?
It wouldn't apply to Christians today when he, like, in a general
sense. What does that have to do with today? When he writes to the actual church in Ephesus and he calls them the predestined, who's he calling the predestined?
In the church. When he's
That's not the Calvinist view. No, I mean, the predestined are not the visible church. That's the elect only.
And then from your position.
I mean, Calvinism fails in terms of Christology. That's the starting point, because Calvinism begins with the idea of the divine decree and soteriology. And so it has the wrong order of theology. It has to begin with the Trinity and Christology, and then that's why you guys don't have the essence energy distinction. You don't have the real presence. You're missing all of these things because you begin your theology with soteriology.
So another question: so how do you determine how to interpret in a legal understanding or not? Because when there are lots of salvation by faith alone passages, you'll just say that it's.
There are no faith alone passages. There are passages that say faith, not works of law, and in the context he's talking about Jewish law. But if you look at Galatians, Paul says the only faith that counts is the one that works through love. So Paul is saying the same thing as James. It's you guys that have invented the idea of a purely fictional legal standing that is your salvation. That's what doesn't exist in the ancient or medieval world. And if you read modern, even conservative Protestant Reformation theologians, whether in the Anglican or in the Lutheran tradition, like Anglicans like Alistair McGrath or Lutherans like Heiko Oberman, they all point out how there were no nominalists in the ancient and medieval world until Occam. In other words, to call you righteous when you're in fact wicked, and you're covered in these, imputational rags of righteousness that cover, or excuse me, the righteousness of Christ that covers your filthy rags and all this stuff. That's only possible with nominalism, and nobody in the ancient medieval world was a nominalist. So how do you get God being able to declare people in a legal status that they don't actually possess in reality?
So then how do you understand the legal and the forensic language that's used in regards
It's
to
based on what's actually there.
What's actually, what do you mean? Like, what's
You're actually made righteous. That's what's called baptismal regeneration. The sacraments actually convey the grace.
Okay, so like, let's say the pious works that you do they contribute to your salvation and sanctification? Or is it just the sacraments that you do in the Orthodox Church? Like, let's say when you participate in the sacraments, right, of the Orthodox Church, you're participating in the uncreated energy, right?
Correct.
So what about let's say the sacraments that exist, like, that are done in other churches or what? So the uncreated grace only exists in the Orthodox Church, that's your position?
Yes, because it is the mystical body of Christ.
So how come, like, these
There's one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one body. There's not 20,000, 30,000 different ones.
Why would, like, a Protestant or a Catholic need the uncreated grace of that's...
This is something that anybody in any religion can say that they become a morally reformed person or they're better, or, I mean, that's all purely subjective. I have no idea what you think spiritual growth is. I mean, Jesus,
okay, sure, but I'm talking about spiritual growth as in, like, sinning less and doing, being obedient to God more.
So now it's salvation by works? I thought you didn't believe in salvation by works.
No, but I mean, I think we're as Christians, we're there to conform to the image of Christ, right? So, like, I'm not saying that we're doing these things to be saved. This is just a byproduct of, like, our faith. Like, our faith is genuine. That's why we want to do the righteous things that God wants us to do. So what do you think about that?
Just 1 second.
Okay. Like, why would, like, what makes it necessary, like, the uncreated energy of Jesus, or, like, of the Orthodox Church?
Because a creature can't save you. Participation in divine life and immortality, but a moral reform. So ironically, what you're talking about as the proof of the faith is the very thing that you as a Calvinist supposedly shouldn't believe in. We're moving on. TJ, what's up, man? Try to change the bit rate. Maybe that'll help with whatever's going on.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Jay. So I've recently left Pentecostalism and I've just become a catechumen. I just had a few questions, if that's okay. So I came into Orthodoxy based purely, mainly, like, intellectually, and just through, like, reading history and a lot. And I just wanted to know how to navigate, going from the spiritual reality and really taking part in the,
Right.
like,
Well,
the
that's right. So it's not Q&A. I'm not trying to be rude to you. It's not, like catechumen day. So that's a question for you and your spiritual father. Going deeper into your prayer life and all that, you should ask him that. Ash, I'm not trying to be rude.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sweet. So, last time I was on, we started talking about Sola Scriptura. I'm coming out of Protestantism, and so I had a couple things to think about. And the question that you posed last time was, how do I know, sure, not as a Protestant anymore, but when I was a Protestant, how would I know that Matthew wrote Matthew? And I was thinking last night, I was like, well, can a Protestant say that by the evidence of scholarly opinion that we can see that Matthew wrote Matthew, which I guess those scholars they would have to defer to the church anyway, so.
The evidence is going to be based on the historical transmission, preservation, and self-knowledge that the church in history has. That's the point. So it's missing the point to say, oh, well, I can go to the consensus of scholars. And by the way, there's tons of liberal scholars who probably don't believe that. So how is that going to help anybody figure out canonicity? Apostolic authorship is only one of the elements that would go into why Matthew's gospel be included. There'd be other things too, like, was this gospel read in the apostolic sees? Was it read in the majority of the sees throughout the empire? Was it read in the lectionaries? which are liturgical readings and daily readings in the churches. All of these would be elements as to how and why the church would or would not have included various books within the Bible. And the point is that there's no fallible means to base the Bible on without ending up with a fallible collection, and thus the Bible becoming fallible. So every Protestant who wants an inerrant, infallible Bible is just continuing to spin the hamster wheel, missing the point that the argument is not just, oh, you need a church to tell you the canon. The argument is that you cannot actually get the autographa, the ones that Paul wrote, the ones that Matthew wrote, without assuming that the church within history, after the death of the apostles for centuries, accurately preserved, copied the Bible.
Sure. It's like you said before that, like, what is the grid to choose also what scholar to follow? So if you're a Protestant, since you don't have really epistemological kind of lens to point to, like, oh, well, I have an infallible source because, Sproul says the dumb axiom, fallible collection of infallible books. I have to sit there and claim, well, I guess it's just fallible means that get me my infallible books.
That doesn't make any sense.
No. I'm saying the Protestant would have to sit there, and if they were honest with themselves, they would say, okay, I received my books, my 66 books of the Protestant canon, by fallible means, by the means of the scholars that I pick, the history that I pick.
Right, so it's a non sequitur to then say that if the Bible is based on that, then it can't be infallible.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. But, yeah, it's just chaos. Okay, that's the question I had. Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm. Gunhilda. Gunhild. Are you there? Let me. You have to turn your mic on, man. I don't know what you guys are. Is nobody used to a space? I've never done it before. Cletus.
Hey Jake, I have a question. I want to be Orthodox, but I have questions about rebaptism and just kind of rigorism in general. ROCOR generally, I know it's a pejorative to call it corrective baptism, but if I came from a Roman Catholic background and they want to do that, what are the consequences of that, and do you find it to be...
Why would there be consequences? What do you mean? Why would you not just submit to what your elders are telling you? What do you mean?
Yeah, so I guess that's my question. So I should just do that.
Yeah, and it's not. I'm not trying to be rude to you. It's not catechumen FAQ night. It's debate night. But yeah, just submit to your elders. Cornelius, what's up? Elder Lion, $10. I learned a lot about Orthodoxy the past few months lurking in your book recommendations. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Jay, I've been a member. Hold on. I've been a member of your website, Mr. Anderson, $3. Tried to watch the full video on History of the Left, and it brought me to the YouTube. It says I need to be a member. Yeah, I realized that after I started making the YouTube lectures members video that the people who are on the website are not going to get that. You still have all the audio, and I've only done it to 5 videos, so you're not, I mean, it's just me talking anyway, so you might as well just listen to the audio, but I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. I guess I'll have to make a copy anytime I move a video from YouTube private to members. I'll have to make a copy, for Dropbox and then for the website. What's up, man?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So you have criticized the Pope for kissing the Koran. I think Paul II. Yet
I've gone way deeper than that. I think that's pretty mild. That's
sure,
mild.
I know. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
mild
right.
compared to a lot of the other criticisms. What about it?
I know. But what I want to say, I saw a video on YouTube of Patriarch Kirill, who was in a children's hospital. It's all in Russian, but he was in the children's hospital and said, I translated it into English. He said, therefore pray with all your heart and ask the Lord for help. I know that both Christians and Muslims are here. Each one addresses the same God, the Creator, and in response to this, we receive real divine help. I
don't have a problem saying that I don't have a problem saying he can get things wrong. And do you think the Orthodox system of theology is the same as the Roman Catholic system?
No. So for clarification, I'm Serbian Orthodox. I'm not Catholic.
Okay, so what's the point?
Yet I have a problem with this.
I just agreed that it's wrong. So
Do you agree with him, or do you?
Of course, I don't agree with that. I just said he can be wrong.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Don't you think it should be addressed by other patriarchs like Porfiria from Serbia?
Yeah, I don't know anything about him, but I would imagine it ought to be.
Mm-hmm. It's 7 years old. I don't know if you believe me of what I quoted.
I don't know Russian, but like either way, whether it's translated accurately or not, like
yes,
I'm sure there's ecumenist tendencies. Like Hilarion Alfiev, he had ecumenist tendencies, so I'm sure he said a lot of wrong things too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So the argument from you is that the patriarch isn't infallible like Catholics claim for the Pope, and therefore, if he says something wrong, it doesn't destroy Orthodoxy. Did I get that right?
Yeah, the whole church is not built on the faith of the guy in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
the
Vatican
guy
I,
in Moscow.
Vatican I, nor any of them. Vatican I builds everything on what is happening with Francis.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Sure. Fair question. Heroes, what's up? No, I don't accept that Islam is Abrahamic. I don't believe that at all. I mean, I've made this argument hundreds of times. What's up? He's having a hard time connecting.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I was reading something about Luther that, I don't know if it's true or not, that he had a patron that was connected or a member of the Rosicrucians.
It's possible. I know that the second generation Lutherans, like Johann Andre, are believed to be some of the early founders of the Rosicrucian order. And Luther did have a lot of support from the German princes. That was part of the reason why he was successful. I don't think he could have been successful without that state support in terms of Germany in the Reformation. But later Lutherans were for sure into Rosicrucianism, but I would not be surprised if there wasn't a patron that was as well.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering, because I noticed he used a symbol, like a Rosicrucian symbol, as a kind of signatory on documents.
Well, that might have been his choice, though. Prior to the Order of the Rosy Cross using it, it's not. I mean, you can't base the argument just on the symbol because, you know, there's a rose cross that I'm sure was used in Catholic churches prior to that. It would have been Rosicrucian necessarily. But I think if you look up the character Johann Andre, it does specifically become a Rosicrucian symbol at that point. And Luther had other esoteric influences. He was influenced by the Theologia Germanica, which is a kind of a Neoplatonic type text. Luther was influenced by nominalism as well as Neoplatonism. So there's a lot of possibilities there. But the book to read on this is Dame Frances Yates' book, Rosicrucian Enlightenment, where she goes into quite a bit of detail about Johann Andre as the potential author of the Rosicrucian Manifesto. Time to Crusade. Is the stream doing decent? Okay, no, maybe it's better this way. What's up, man? Unmute. Union Jose Biden, $5. You said Maximus taught the soul is created at inception. I heard John Damascus teaches that we're generated from Adam, and all the fathers and all of humanity, from our fathers and all humanity was created within our Adam. Our souls are generated, not created. No, that's not true. I mean, there is maybe John Damascus was a Traducian, but St. Maximus Confessor is not a Traducian. So I'm not aware of the Orthodox Church holding to Traducianism, but I mean, I could be wrong. And I don't recall off the top of my head John Damascus saying that, but Maximus is very clear in the Ambigua that the soul is created at conception. Elias Bader, $2. Will you cover the released MLK files? No, probably not. Afreem?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. What's up?
Hello?
Yes. I can hear you. Can you hear me? King Anime. I heard Dyer is autistic. I don't think I am. I think it seems like people with autism have a hard time with comedy, and they can't tell when people are joking. But probably everybody to a degree has a dose of autism. What's up, man? You got to unmute. You're raising your hand. Unmute.
Hello? Oh,
yeah.
So, I have some questions about the Sabbath. So I heard, pretty sure you know who Sam Simone is. I think that's his name.
Uh-huh.
He was on Fresh and Fleetwood. So the way he described the Sabbath, I think I didn't find it satisfactory because.
I mean, I don't know I don't know what he argued about the Sabbath. What's the question?
So, do you think Christians still have to keep the Sabbath the way it says in the Fourth Commandment?
The way that it's kept is the way that the New Testament, the apostles keep it, which is the first day of the week is the day of the Lord, where the church comes together and celebrates the liturgy. In the Orthodox Church, the seventh day Sabbath is still kept in the Vesper service. It's still honored on Saturday. But no, as Hebrews 4 says, the true Sabbath has been brought to us in the person of Christ. So there's a superiority now to the true Sabbath, which is the Christian liturgical service.
So would you consider that to be an attempt at changing God's law?
No, because Jesus is the one that gave the law. He is God. He's the one that decides and determines how it's kept and how it's interpreted.
So, but when did it ever say that Jesus changed the Sabbath?
Hebrews 4 explains that when Jesus came, he brought at his first advent the fulfillment and the meaning of the creation day Sabbath. Thus, the day of his resurrection is the Sabbath, according to Hebrews 4, and that's why the church in the book of Acts and John in the book of Revelation says, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day. That's the day of his resurrection. In the book of Acts, that's when the church meets to have the divine liturgy, the church service. That's why it's Sunday.
Okay. And, yeah, because I was confused on, like, what people were saying about they think, because based on in Genesis when it said the evening and the morning, it didn't say that at the end of the 7th day. So people try to say that that's basically their argument for thinking that we're in God's Sabbath now, which I found to be very confusing because I don't really get that.
Have you not read? Have you read Hebrews?
I seen the verse that Sam pointed out, so I'm pretty sure it's the verse you're referring to. I just don't.
All of chapter 4 is about the Sabbath being brought at Christ's first advent.
Okay.
So all of these Jewish ceremonies, they symbolize the work and life of Christ and the reality that he brings at the first advent.
Okay. And what do you think about theocracies? Do you think Christians should try to establish a theocracy like in the United States?
No, I think the goal is to convert people, and then it will naturally tend towards a monarchy or an imperium or a theocracy. So theocracy is the biblical form of government. That's why the Orthodox Church throughout 2,000 years has always had monarchical or imperial forms of government. But it's not our first and foremost duty to set up a theocracy. So that's something that happens down the line as people convert. When you have a majority Christian Orthodox society. Clone card. All right, he dropped off. Vesper Lind. Vespa Lind. When you're going to debate Paulogia, all of these people can come into the chat. Like, I'm not chasing down people with like 1,000 subscribers and all these gurus. You guys, if they won't come debate, then no, I'm not going to chase down. I have no idea who Paulogia is. If they want to come debate, here's the link. When you going to debate Arian heretic 69432 on YouTube? He's got 500 subscribers. He's talking smack. That's what the link is for, dog. Vesper, what's up? You didn't turn your mic on? I mean, moving on. Danny? Is it Danny? Danny? Donnie Akua. It's open forum. If you want to request to speak, I'll bring you on. It's open debate. We're looking for people who would like to debate. Pologia has 1 million subs. Okay, well, I've never heard of Pologia. I have no idea who it is. Zalmoxis spends $50. Can you walk us through the documents from Trullo and the Seventh Council affirmed in terms of canon? Okay, so Canon 85 of the Apostolic Canons is mentioned. It's the Councils of Carthage that Trullo says specifically for the canon. Canon 85 is relevant because it's a very early attestation in the Apostolic Canons to the Deuterocanon being part of the Bible. And so if you have the Orthodox Dogmatic Theology by Pomazanski, you don't even need me to walk you through it. Maybe I should make a video on it because, I mean, he talks about it within the first, 30 pages. And so there's a whole note on the Apostolic Canons in Canon 35. But Canon 35 doesn't mention everything that's in our canon, and that's because the Seventh Ecumenical Council, when it affirms Trullo, Trullo specifically says we are going with the Carthaginian canon, which includes all the deuterocanonical texts. Unmute, Danny, or do you want to talk, or what's up, man? Thank you guys for all the super chats. Appreciate it. You guys are being generous tonight. Donnie, all right, whatever. Don't unmute them. Bible shelf.
Hi, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
So I just wanted to ask, I guess, for like advice for someone who's a philosophy student and is currently studying tag, but I'm kind of just feeling like overwhelmed by all the objections. And I attend church, but I guess I'm kind of like agnostic. And I just feel like it requires such a high level of philosophical knowledge, and all the objections are like so complex that it's kind of hard to know what's true. And I'm just in this like state of like not knowing or like uncertainty. But then I have Christians saying, "Oh, well, if you die upon disbelief, you're probably going to go to hell." So I'm kind of...
Well, I mean, I think the point is that you join the Orthodox Church and become a regular member, and you don't rest on the academic, rational side of stuff. It's not that the rational academic stuff is wrong or bad, but it can't all rest on that. That's like a sign pointer to the church. Jacob, what's up, Jacob? His name is Jacob, but I'm calling him Jacob.
Yeah, what's up? What's up? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I've followed you for a long time. I really like your content, and
Appreciate it.
I've been reading Moritz and Dogma. I'm like 600 pages in, and he's talking about the early Christian mysteries, and I just wanted to know what exactly you would say about the statements that he's giving. So he'll give like, "For hence you're profane," or that giving the Christian mysteries is like putting a sword into the hands of a child, and these kinds of things.
I mean, he has a whole chapter where he talks about that real Christianity is Neoplatonism. Basically, he affirms Origenism. He says that's what the Trinity really is. So, no, we don't listen to Albert Pike and Neoplatonism for what Christianity is. I mean, what?
Sorry, but he says, for example, Cyril, right? He'll say the Lord explained in private his parables and allegories, which is obviously
that doesn't
heresy.
mean what he says. He's just referring to the Gnostic claim that true Christianity is a hidden message. But if you read Irenaeus in book 3 and 4 of Against Heresies, Irenaeus says that there's nothing hidden in Christianity; it's all public.
Yeah, okay, I get that. No, it's just been very, very confusing because he gave like 13 quotes by different church fathers that all said that they, for example, you have Tertullian saying that...
Tertullian is a heretic.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
So the saying what? Go ahead. What are the other quotes about?
So it's like 13. First he starts off with Clemens. Non-initiated shall enter. Then he goes to Tertullian, who's a heretic, as he said. Then
Clement is a heretic too, but go ahead. Is it Clement of Alexandria?
Origen, the heretic too. Then Achilleus. I don't know how to say his name, sorry. I'm German. He says, these mysteries the church now communicates to him who has passed through the introductory degree. They are not explained to the Gentiles at all.
Yeah, this is just all nonsense. Like when you join the Orthodox Church, there's no secret inner Gnostic teaching that the Orthodox Church passes on to the Gnostic inner elite. That's why the whole purpose of Morals and Dogma is that Albert Pike is saying, you know, what people call Christianity in the Orthodox churches or the Catholic Church, that's not real Christianity. That's for the profane. I have the real secrets. It's just a sleight of hand trick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's total pride. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm a Christian too.
So what? But what's the? I don't understand what.
I'm just confused because I'm trying to find out how to interpret these quotes by these early church fathers. As for example, you'll have Saint Basil. He's saying this is what the uninitiated are not permitted to contemplate. Right, the mysteries.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of the Orthodox tradition that you don't speak of the mysteries to those outside because they don't understand it. They're not going to believe it. And that's why in the Orthodox Church, it is called mystagogy. It is a mystical teaching. But mysteries does not mean Albert Pike's ancient pagan mysteries. It means the mysteries of the Christian revelation, which are not always forever hidden. They're mysteries that are revealed to the initiated. That's why baptism is called the rite of initiation in Christianity.
Okay, yeah.
Let me give you another example. When you're baptized, you're called illumined or enlightened. That doesn't mean you're an enlightenment member of the Illuminati because you're baptized.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't know about the mysteries not being talked about openly in that way. No,
Well, in the early church, in the liturgy, for example, it says, I will not. When we do the communion prayer, we say, "I will not speak of thy mysteries to thine enemies." And the church says in the liturgy, "Let the catechumens depart; let no catechumens remain." That's because in the early church there was persecution, and the empire would send spies into the churches and lie about them and say, "Oh, they're actually engaging in human sacrifice." And if you spoke about the mysteries outside the church, you could potentially have the church busted up because they're in the catacombs.
Oh yeah, he mentions this too. Yeah, he mentions that. Yeah.
Okay, but that doesn't prove Albert Pike's secret Gnostic teaching of true Christianity in the Freemasonic lodges.
You want to hear something funny?
Sure.
Right after he says this, he goes over the assassination of Hiram, so Hiram, Abiff, right? And he says, literally, he says it in Morals and Dogma. He says the ejaculation at his grave was repeated 3 times.
The what? I don't know what you're saying.
Ejaculation.
Of who?
Of the three Masons that were trying to resurrect him.
No, I didn't know he said that. That's funny.
Yeah, okay. It shocked me, and no one talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I never found anybody until I read that chapter on what he thinks Christianity really is in terms of the Trinity, that he says it's just Neoplatonism. I'd never heard anybody talk about that either. Let me pull up the Apostolic Canons, and it's 85.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to ask you, so I used to be a Catholic, but I've since become an agnostic. So I want to ask you, what's the basis for creatio ex nihilo?
Well, the only basis is that it's in divine revelation. And, I mean, you could make some philosophical arguments about the need for the philosophy of time itself requiring a beginning, middle, and an end for meaning. That would be kind of a more roundabout transcendental argument, because if everything is just, say, eternal return, or if everything is pure, it's just constant cyclical return, then it would be very difficult to have differentiation, succession, change, etc. Everything would be in eternal stasis. So those are some things that could point to the need philosophically for a beginning, but not necessarily ex nihilo. Ex nihilo is a doctrine that's based on divine revelation.
Okay, so if I were to posit that there's only creation itself, but there was no beginning and no end. So
that's what I just said. So if everything if everything is an eternal return, what's the basis for beginning, middle, and end, which is how all human communication, sentence structure, language works? If you don't have beginning, middle, and end, how do you have communication?
Yeah, so it's what you're alluding to. I suppose it's divinely ordained. It just came into being, or
did you hear anything of what I said? So you're not going to answer anything that I said. You're going to go back to stating what the problem is.
Okay. What did you say? Can you rephrase that?
So I took you to say that if there's not ex nihilo, then everything is just eternal, right? The created order or this world, it's all just eternal, right? So there's not beginning, middle, and end. Everything is just an eternal return, or an Ouroboros ever eating itself, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, if there's not beginning, middle, and end, then sentences aren't possible, because sentences and language universally in the human domain require beginning, middle, and end. So that suggests to me that the way that humans are constituted and experience time is as a beginning, middle, and end. But that would be illusory if there's no such thing as beginning, middle, and end. So you're collapsing time into eternity, and that would make knowledge and communication impossible.
But why would it be impossible? So,
because of what I just said. Did you not hear anything I said?
Yeah, I did, but before the sentence there was silence, right? And before silence there was a sentence preceding that.
So before and after?
Yeah, before and
Okay,
after.
then
So
that's
it's
not
eternal.
eternal return. That's time. What you said is
Yeah, that's
eternal.
fine. Yeah, eternity in time. So I know it's a bit of a paradox, but the continuation.
Oh, so
of
you're allowed to have,
time-
hold on, you're allowed paradoxes, but creation ex nihilo is crazy. All right.
No, it's
You're not even listening, so we're moving on. Let's see, Ben M.
Hello?
Yep.
Hey, Jay. I got a question about Orthodox Church history.
Okay.
In the history, do you know in the history, when in the history of the Orthodox Church was the advent of choosing saint names among laity?
I don't.
I'm assuming that was probably the result of people having names that like diverged from biblical names. And I wonder if that would constitute an evolution of the practice of the church tradition.
Well, in the Old Testament, you have people being given new names. For example, Abram becomes Abraham. Can you mute for a second, bro?
Yeah.
All right, so Sarai becomes Sarah. So the basis is in the mind of, I'm sure, the early Christians, the Bible and divine revelation and the history of the Hebrews. I don't think it was just willy-nilly done. There's plenty of saints in the early church who have pagan names who become saints. So I don't think there was any idea that if you had a pagan name, you had to change it necessarily because you were a Christian. It had to do with the idea of patron saints and saints interceding, which is very early in the tradition of the church. But just because a tradition emerges as universal eventually, that doesn't prove doctrinal development, because we don't have a problem with little t traditions happening over time. And obviously it's quite natural that if there's going to be a saint who dies in the 5th, 6th, 7th century, they're not going to be saints in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd century because they don't exist yet. That's not development of doctrine. That's the application of the basics of dogma to specific situations. So, for example, canon law. If you see up on the screen, this is the apostolic canons. And these are ideas and rules about church law that have some kind of flexibility over time. But that flexibility over time does not translate into doctrinal development. It's just simply the church using the static, unchanging principles of theology and applying them to the needs of the time or in specific locations.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Also, people should keep in mind that when we look at the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th century of the church, there's a lot of writings that we have, but there's also a lot of things we don't know. And so a lot of things are, in a sense, shrouded in silence in certain areas. There's places where Christianity went and we don't know what happened to Christianity in that region. There's churches and nations even that don't exist anymore. So a lot of these things we can't just go look up and see. There's a lot when it comes to ancient textual analysis or ancient archaeology at Christian sites or catacombs. There's a level of guesswork that scholars engage in because we don't know everything. Now that doesn't mean we know nothing. I'm just saying that there's a lot we don't know. There's a lot we do know, but also a lot that we don't know. Jacob. Now, guys, we're looking for people that disagree. I don't mind taking all the FAQs and all this stuff, but I'm looking for people that disagree. If you do, you go to the headline. What's up, Jacob? Jortpocalypse Rising, $20. Happy to see you still debating all the smooth brains. Keep it up, Jay. Also, I believe Bankers on the Dance Floor is your greatest work. Hey, you're in the minority there. Not many people seem to really. I think that's a classic cringecore work. I wish it would have gotten more exposure. It seems like people would have really liked that one. But Dyersburg, Tennessee Vols fan, $3. Thank you for exposing Bertrand Russell in the recent segment on Lord Voldemort. The mainstream media does not ever mention the dark side and portrays him as this pacifist intellectual. Yeah, that's the cover that he had. He had the cover of being this democratic pacifist. intellectual, but he's like the seething hatred for humanity. Exactly. Intrinsic and distinctive, $10. My brother, you have sharp mind and need a haircut. Actually, I almost got a haircut today, but we just didn't have time. And I'm eager to get a haircut. That's why I keep wearing hats, because I haven't got my haircut yet. So as soon as I have time, I promise you I'll get a haircut. Y'all keep sending them super chats. I'll have money to head on over to Super Clips or Super Cuts or Fantastic Sam's or whatever it is. Inquirer, $5. What are the questions that your Protestant or Catholic priests weren't able to answer? I think I mentioned previously this question about the Protestants. I read a lot of Augustine. I read a lot of Cyprian. I was taking classes from Protestant professors. They couldn't answer my questions from City of God. I read the entire City of God. Of course, the Protestant professors had never read it. So I had all this quote mine from City of God, and then I read the anti-Pelagian, anti-Donatist works, and they couldn't answer any of those either. They'd never read those works. And so the Catholic priests, I mean, I, over the years, talked to a lot of Catholic priests, Novus Ordo priests, SSPX priests, Sedevacantis priests, and I mean, you could probably, the questions that they couldn't answer are all the ones that you see me posing to the Roman Catholics all the time. Jojo199, you ran from a baby. Yes, I ran because there was a baby in the background. Totally. MLKZDK. Oh, here we go. Go ahead.
Hey, Jay. Thank you for the spaces that you are hosting.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, I'm an Orthodox Christian myself, and
Are you, or are you Oriental Orthodox?
I'm an Oriental Orthodox Christian.
Mm-hmm. So you're not Orthodox in the sense that we are.
Eastern Orthodox, I am not, yeah. But I have really benefited both from Eastern Orthodox and Orthodox, Oriental Orthodox theologians over the years. My favorite being Dr. Ginny Constantino on Ancient Faith Radio. But my question is, I have a difficulty understanding the difference between, in terms of dogmatic differences, our understanding of Jesus Christ between amongst Oriental and Eastern Orthodox Christians.
So we're doing a whole series on this. Go to my channel, Oriental Orthodoxy Refuted. We've done 2 installments. We plan to do about 10.
Mm-hmm.
Have you watched those?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so go watch those because they're about 3 hours each. Cletus, do you want to try again? No, we already went to you. Manuel Uriel.
Hello?
Yep.
Oh, so I wanted to ask you, like, I guess 2 questions. One about tag and one about Islam. Is that fine?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I guess my question about tag is, I understand that there are preconditions that, like, knowledge and logic, but I don't really understand, like, why is there a necessity to ground those things? Can we just say, like, they just exist because of the impossibility of the contrary or something like that?
No, if you read the Mannion paper, he explains why that doesn't achieve grounding. So just because it doesn't appear that there's any other way to explain things without that or to make sense of the world, that doesn't lead to the justification that it is the case. Because maybe it just appears to us, or maybe it's just part of our mental schema that that's how the world is, but that doesn't tell us that the world actually is that way. So in other words, it's not enough to get to justification just to say by possibility the contrary. You need a positive worldview that goes along with that. And that's the point of the Mannion paper, is that only Christian theism posits and explains the basis for all of these things: transcendental categories, metaphysical categories, causation, telos. So when you say, why does it need to be grounded? I mean, that's a fundamental misunderstanding of, like, well, if it doesn't have to be grounded, then nobody has to ground anything.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't have to ground it, that's like in the Matt Dillahunty debate. Like, okay, then I don't have God.
Okay, yeah.
God exists, I don't have to ground it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And is it? I guess I would say, is it like this sort of thing where it's like, oh well, I'm seeing this thing and then necessary for grounding, and I see this other puzzle piece and they fit, right? Is it like this? Is it like two puzzle pieces, like they just fit together?
No, it's all the transcendental categories that are necessary for the possibility of predication. They all require and necessitate and presuppose one another. So, you to have knowledge presupposes a knower. To have knowledge presupposes time determination, beginning, middle, and end. To have knowledge presupposes an external world. It presupposes laws of logic, meaningful sentences, and communication. And those things don't stand alone. They all require each other.
But my question is, like, how do you get from like these preconditions and grounding them to like an Eastern Orthodox conception of God?
Yeah, I mean, I've done this a million times, like, because only the Christian theistic system posits the metaphysics that are required for those things to be grounded.
All right.
And divine conceptualism is a big part of that, and you can go check out my videos on that. Eli. Jojo, you ran from a baby, $4.99. You were destroyed by Goo Goo Gaga Precept. Exactly. I couldn't take it. It was really just the loud noise. I'm not anti-baby. It's just I couldn't hear what I was saying because the baby kept squelching. I just saw a membership. James David Flood became a member. Shout out. What's up, James David Flood? Eli, you want to unmute?
Hey, Jay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I had a question on the veneration of saints.
Okay.
I get this asked a lot from my family because they're still Protestants, and I'm just now converting to Orthodoxy. How do you respond to when Protestants say, hey, the Bible doesn't specifically mention the veneration of saints, therefore it could be a bad thing that you're doing?
I mean, they're venerated and honored when they're in heaven in Revelation 5-9. The bones of Elisha raised people from the dead, so they're obviously honored by God because they're endued with the power to resurrect people. Cloths are taken from Paul's body in the book of Acts to heal people and cast out demons. So God has endued those physical objects and the body of Paul with a divine power, which in the book of Thessalonians he says is the dunamis, or the energy or power of God within him. So God honors his saints and his people. God honored the Virgin Mary by entering into her womb and deifying her and calling her Queen of Heaven in Revelation 12. So God honors the saints. Why wouldn't we honor those that God honors?
Gotcha. Appreciate you, man.
Sure. Yeah, just go look up all those texts and then show those to your Protestant friends. Does anyone disagree? I mean, I'm not mad at you guys. Just like I see a bunch of Orthodox people who are catechumens and people with questions. I'm looking for people who disagree. If you want to come on debate. If you disagree, just please make arguments. Hey, Hatayo, 2 pounds. J. Dagri. Jamie. Hey, Jamie, double espresso time for Jay according to JV Free, $2. Word. Gabe K, $10. Jay, did you see Martyrs in 2008? I have not seen that. I'll have to check that out. Grip D, you want to unmute? What's up?
Hello.
Uh-huh.
So you said that the word soul. What is soul defined as?
Like S-O-L-E or S-O-U-L?
Is there a difference?
Are you joking?
No, I'm not joking at all. Okay. Is there a difference?
No, there's no difference between the word soul, S-O-L-E, and the word soul, S-O-U-L. There's literally no difference. Steven, what's up? And Ancestro, $5. Do your best Matthew McConaughey impression. Well, actually, Matthew McConaughey, doesn't he fancy himself some kind of evangelical? Let's see, what would Matthew McConaughey, when he reads 1 Timothy 3, let's see how he would read it. Now, these things I write to you, though I come to you shortly. If I am delayed, I write, so that you may know how you ought to conduct yourself in the house of God, which is Church of the Living God, pillar and ground of truth. That's 1 Timothy 3. How's that? I'm still a little sinusy, so my impressions are not exactly right if I've got some sinusy things going on. Steven, you want to unmute? What's up? I don't understand these people who come on and they never unmute. Like, what was the purpose? Are you there? Steven? You have to turn your mic on if you're going to come speak on a microphone. Elon sees Kyle. My allergies are driving me crazy today, too. On top of it, the juniper trees are on attack. They're on attack. Elon sees something. What's up? Unmute. Hey, Jamie. Jamie! I need an espresso. Unmute, dude. Jamie! I'm singing that song. Could you make me an espresso? Not an espresso, an expresso. Thank you. Dog, you don't want to talk? You just want to sit there? What's up, man? Elon, you want to try again? Elon sees Kyle.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
It took a while to show up, sorry. Hey, I just want to pick your brain on the topic of ecumenism, because I hear you talking about it now and then, and it seems to be like a negative thing that we should, at least in your view, that we shouldn't be doing as Orthodox Christians.
Yeah, it's a compromising, obviously, of the ancient tradition and the doctrine of the body of Christ, ecclesiology. All of those things are compromised. You know, I mean, the canons say you can't go and pray in the synagogues and the temples of the heretics. It's that simple.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Okay.
But I kind of viewed that as, well, I guess you could count that as ecumenism, but I thought ecumenism was more defined as regards to other groups of Christians like Catholics, Protestants, Orthodox, getting together on certain things. And obviously
No. It has to do with violating the canonical boundaries of the church through public liturgical actions, ceremonies, etc. That's how it's defined canonically. So, can there be some pro-life thing where Catholics and Orthodox work together? Sure, that's not ecumenism. Ecumenism is specifically about public divine worship. I mean, it could also be like you write a book where you say something like, oh, we all have the same faith, we're all one church. I mean, it's not just liturgically, because it's also theologically, if you were to deny something, in terms of the profession of faith, that would also count.
Right. And what about in regards to praying together, like outside of church?
Well, you can pray and they can join with you, but we're not supposed to join in the services of others. Then that's the canonical strictures that I mentioned. But thank you for that. Anybody disagree? You got to have the line. Wesley. Cards, $2. Yeah, the words are the same, hence soul food, S-O-L-E food. That would be like when you eat the sole of your shoe. Because, of course, there's no difference between the word soul, S-O-L-E, and the word soul, S-O-U-L. What's the difference? Wesley?
Yes, how do you do? Wesley Curry.
Okay. What's up? You got curry, brother? You got good foods over there? You make armpit patty with curry.
This does look like a 7-Eleven. So.
I look like those.
6 days ago, I prayed to Jesus Christ. I only pray to Jesus Christ, and no other name do I pray. I pray to Jesus who appeared to you all and told you to tell the vision. Tell the vision you shall not need the mark. And my prayer was that 6 days ago, he give everybody on earth bread. Now, those of you that say Jesus
so we got pure schizo.
Only in vain are going to
Goodbye,
deny.
schizo. Goodbye, schizo.
Right. Enjoy.
Shukri. Unmute, dude.
Hey, man.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
The connection is a little bit bad, but I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there, besides Christology, other problematic differences between Eastern Orthodox and Oriental Orthodox? And does the Oriental Orthodox Church have valid priesthood?
I don't know what valid is an ambiguous term because we don't think that it even matters. The ritual could be done right. They might be received by vesting, but the grace of the rites doesn't return until they return to orthodoxy. Yeah, I mean, we're doing a whole series. Go watch the series that we're doing on this. This is not Oriental Q&A night. We've done 2 lectures that are multi-hours long about Oriental Orthodoxy, and we're going to do 7 more. It's just going to take time. If you have a question, you can come on, request to speak, but I'm looking for people who disagree, who would like to come up. If you're a Protestant, if you're a Roman Catholic, if you're a premillennial dispensationalist, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Gnostic, if you're a Mormon, if you're an atheist, if you're a Hebrew roots supporter of any kind, you're welcome to request to speak and I'll bring you up. You can ask your questions or you can make an argument. You can speak for as long as you'd like, if you'd like to debate within reason. Axios.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, so I had this question. I couldn't really get an answer on Google, but in the Old Testament, when God hardened Pharaoh's heart, I'm not sure exactly how to understand that properly because it sounds like
the other passage explains how he hardened it. It says he hardened it by allowing Pharaoh to harden his own heart. So the 2 passages together give you the clue as to how it occurs. And you have the same thing with David taking the census. One passage says God moved David to take a census, which was a great sin. And the other passage in the other historical book says that Satan moved David to take a census. So just like with Pharaoh, the way that God allowed that was allowing Satan to tempt David in that way. So that's how that happens. It's a both and. Cletus again?
Hey, what's up, Jay? I'm back again.
Remind me what we're talking about. I forgot.
It was about rebaptism. You kind of stun-locked me because of the way I'm just not used to, I guess.
What?
This. You stun-locked me mentally.
What does that mean?
Stun-lock is like, let's say you hit like a goat with like, I don't know, a ball. You know how like goats faint?
Goats faint?
Have you ever seen like YouTube videos of goats fainting? They like get stun-locked and they just like tip over.
No.
Okay, well that's a term.
I mean, I'm gonna go subscribe to the goat fainting channel when we get off of here. But go ahead.
I wanted to because I don't know. I am a catechumen, but right, I'm not fully Orthodox yet. I guess I hope that's valid.
I have a video on this. If you could just type into YouTube, the question of rebaptism. So is that?
Okay,
like, it's not FAQ. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just it's not FAQ night.
Well, no, I guess I understand that too. But I mean, so basically, it's kind of question of what is the lesser of 2 evils, if that makes sense. And because everywhere there's problems with
I don't understand what you're talking. What's the lesser between what?
Well, so if there are inconsistencies slightly in all the churches, right? Disagreements.
So the Orthodox position is on economia is that it's up to the local bishops to decide how and when and whether baptism is necessary, whether there's a profession, a renunciation of errors, chrismation. It's a local decision. There does not have to be a one-size-fits-all rule. And that's a difference from Roman Catholicism. Roman Catholicism assumes that there's a one-size-fits-all rule, but even Roman Catholics have conditional baptism. So they do the exact same thing. So again, I don't even understand like what. Go watch the video that I've made on this topic, It's just type in Rebaptism J. Dyer. I'm not being mean to you. It's not FAQ night. It's not catechumen question night. I'm looking for people who disagree. We got 105 people in here. And most of the time, the questions like that come, or the never-ending Oriental Orthodox questions. That's why we're doing this ongoing series, so that I don't have to repeat the same answers every time we do this live stream. I'm not being mean. It's not. Imagine, you guys, if you had repeated something that's been asked to you literally hundreds of times. That's the reason that I seem dismissive, is not because I don't like you or I hate people or he's mean. It's that we make videos and podcasts on these topics so that I don't have to keep doing that. So I can tell you, hey, guess what? This FAQ question, we've already got a whole talk on it. And a lot of people are freaking lazy, man. They won't go and find the videos. I understand it's not all laziness, because sometimes the videos are buried in the YouTube algorithm. But a lot of these questions, they're pretty easy to, they're easy to find. So if it's me saying like tonight is debate night, that means it's not, what do I do for fasting? What's the proper prayer rule? What's the canon on, can I go to the movies? Or like, it's not what we're doing tonight. It says at the top, debate night. Stephen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was on earlier. I think I'm having a problem with my mic on my laptop ever since we got this new microphone. I'm not a technician when it comes to
it's okay.
laptops.
What's up?
Yeah, but before I go to my question, first I want to say, Jay, I thought Jake, you did a really good Matthew McConaughey.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, so my question is about the canon.
You're cutting out, man. Can't hear you. You've cut out, man. Let's see. That guy, there was one guy that clipped a, maybe it's just baptism, not rebaptism. There's a guy that clipped it, and it was a different channel. It wasn't my channel.
Scripture.
You're cutting out, man. I don't know.
Kenny, I can't hear you at all.
That's your end, bro. All right, it's open forum. I'm looking for people who disagree. That means not FAQ questions, not catechumen question night. If you disagree, you go to the head of the line. What did that guy title that video? The thing that's annoying is that you basically have to have like the perfect title, or it doesn't come up. It was let's try Orthodox baptism. I don't know why that's the only thing that comes up. This might be old. No, maybe this is it. And this isn't it. I don't know why it doesn't come up. Maybe this is it. No, that's not it. Well, I thought maybe we'd get some Protestants coming in tonight, but we're not getting much of that. We just got a couple kind of lunatic people. What was the name of that video? Orthodox, let's see. Maybe it was valid is always what confuses people. I don't know. I don't even have the energy to look for it. Awakened. there was a guy that was making clips, and he clipped a really good, like 20-minute discussion on baptism and rebaptism. And I thought, finally we have like the video where I don't have to repeat this every time we do a live stream. And I'm so tired of PSA. Like, I mean, I've explained and argued the PSA thing probably like at least a few hundred times in the last 5 years. I hate this. Are Protestants saved? Like, I can't stand these questions, man. Unmute, man. What's up?
Hey, Jay, do you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I am Cradle and probably not asking a debate question, so I hope you don't mind. But I just had a question with regards to Catholic apologetics.
Okay.
As it relates to Oriental Orthodoxy, which you could shut me down if you're going to detail it in your channel. But, because I was curious, sometimes I hear them throw around, it seems like a lazy argument, but I don't have a good response to it, that their kind of conciliar, universal, guided by the Holy Spirit approach is essentially ours, and that we have no grounds to disparage them compared to ours, and since they have the Pope, they can, And I'm just curious how you'd basically respond to that if I phrase that clearly.
I don't understand. What's... Say it again?
Yeah, I'll rephrase it. I'm sorry. Essentially, like, our epistemology is very similar to theirs, if that's the right word. Like, the way we come to decisions through councils, right? There's no Pope declaring things.
Ours is similar to the Roman Catholic?
To the Orientals.
Oh, I thought you said Catholic. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But the Catholics say that ours is similar to the Orientals, and that because of that, we don't have the unifying leader to deduce between the two, right? That we have no grounding to say that we're right and they're wrong. And I'm just curious from, like, a authoritative standpoint, like, how would you respond to that?
Well, I don't think that the papacy does the work that they think it does. So their supposed solution to this problem is really a problem that everybody has. So, has Francis solved the problems in the church with his past 15 years of 10, 13 years of decisions? Has this worked?
Yeah, that's typically where I go, which is why I just thought I'd ask and pick your brain on that.
If that's the case, like, how are the problems solved in the first 320 years before?
Right.
Before, does it even make sense to even cite Nicaea if you're a Roman Catholic? It should be like, why didn't the Pope just decide the issues at Nicaea? Like, because remember, they'll cite Clement and say, oh, look, Clement's deciding issues, so he's the first autocrat, universal Pope example that we have post-apostles. And it's like, okay, if that's how it works, then why is there a need for any problems to be squelched by an ecumenical council? Councils are a huge ordeal. They're called by emperors. Money is put into it from the imperial treasury. People are brought from, hundreds of miles away. It takes forever. It's a huge ordeal in the ancient world. And according to them, the problems are just solved by the Pope's decisions, according to Vatican I. So all of that is...
he's so nice that he lets us do councils, isn't it?
Well, why is he being nice when it could be a lot more efficient and, like, sensible and pragmatic? I thought that's what they're all about, right? Like
No, yeah, I'm just.
So if you remember, this is what Ibarra actually says. He's like, well, the Pope had that power, but he didn't always use it. Oh, so in other words, he failed at what he was supposed to do throughout the first 1,000 years, is what you're saying.
Right, yeah, that's ridiculous. I think that's very eloquently phrased. Thank you.
Yeah, I just think that that whole thing is a thing that evolved. And let's see, Young Padawan, what's up, dude? My allergies are getting to me. Thor is dead, $5. God logic tactic. Interpret Protestant proof texts, draw them in, and then say, we just reading, man. I could try that tactic. Just read the text and be like, oh, we just reading, dog. Little Baloo, $2. You got a soul patch, S-O-L-E, underneath your lip. Exactly. Except I shaved it. Virga less. Guys, spread the love for Jade Dagri. What does that mean? Is that like the Dagestani version of Dyer? I don't know what that means. Young, whatever, boomer, unmute.
Hey, Jay. I'm a Protestant, bro, so hopefully my question...
Okay, what's up?
Who's talking right now?
I'm talking to you. I was impersonating you.
Oh. Hey, bro. So I have a question. So I have a Protestant background, and, I got a Catholic church right next to me, and so I'm going to try and hit an Orthodox church a while. I wanted to thank you for the recommendations of St. Cyril of Alexandria and the Christological controversy. I'm also listening to the Apostolic Fathers. Cool. Great things. But I wanted to ask you, since you are Orthodox, what is the teaching as it relates to the household, especially the father and or husband? In Protestant background, there's always this working as a team, help your wife grow in Christ. Is that the same for Orthodoxy, or is it more of a leadership-driven role in Orthodoxy?
I would say it should be a leadership-driven role. I don't see this idea of egalitarianism. I mean, you can have a position of authority and work as a team. And there's nothing about team that necessitates there being egalitarianism per se. I mean, you can have a team leader. I mean, so the terminology is kind of vague, but I mean, I would say the religion is 100% patriarchal.
Got it. That was the answer I wanted, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna find libs everywhere, though. So you can find an Orthodox church where some woman will tell you that we're working to bring women priests to the church and get rid of the patriarch. I'm sure you can find some. It's always gonna be some fat woman too that's saying that. I'm sure you can find it. 90 some fat feminists, I'm sure. Just go to Ancient Faith Radio. The women that you find on there, they're going to be pushing that probably. It's open forum. Anybody want to come to debate? We still got 90 people in here. We've only been going for an hour 45. No Protestants that disagree. No Roman Catholics that disagree. No Gnostics. No Mormons. No. I'm gonna start naming all the cults. No Om Shinriko proponents. No evangelical Calvinists, no Reformed Baptists, no, how many cults can we go through? All of them again? No Mandeans, no Druze, no Hashemites, no Hashashim, no Shia, no Hebrew roots. Let's see, we got Red Patriot. Oh my gosh. Marxist Leninists. This will be good.
Hello.
What's up?
I'm a Christian communist.
Yeah, that doesn't exist.
I don't think any church on earth right now is as concerned as they should be with the prohibited practice of usury. I think all of the churches practice usury in their own organizations, and as we know in the Lord's Prayer,
how do Orthodox churches practice usury in their organizations? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things to be concerned with usury in the Orthodox Church. Your churches are just not as committed to the Christian spirit, and
so your answer to that question was to restate the original thing in question.
No, yeah, it's and then you also canonize people like the Romanov.
So now you're going
again full of usurers.
So no answer.
The Romanov dynasty is no ideal. The Romanov dynasty is no ideal example.
So you're not going to answer. You're just going to So, and there is no such thing as a Christian communist. You just made up your own thing.
You can dismiss me on.
You're not going to answer the questions, is why I'm moving on. And your argument was to restate your position twice, and then again 3 times in a row. So that doesn't constitute an argument. I asked you specifically for what the argument was that Orthodox organizations are participating in usury. You restated the thing in question, and then you said the Romanovs included usurers. The Orthodox position of sainthood can include people who did not necessarily live exemplary lives, but, for example, confessed at their death and became martyrs. So that doesn't even negate the Romanovs, and I'm not even sure that the Romanovs were a bunch of usurers. I mean, I don't even know if I accept that assertion. You need to demonstrate that from the outset. But you weren't going to answer any questions. You just wanted to yap and make up your own. There's no such thing as a Christian communist Marxist. It doesn't exist. It's a made-up thing. Does anyone have an argument? Anyone disagree? I'm not taking Q&As. I'm looking for people who disagree. Any dispensationalists, any premillennialists, any sola fide, sola scriptura, anyone who's a Mormon, anyone who is a, let's see, Joseph? Are you the dude we already went to?
Yeah.
Yo. Yeah.
What's up, Jay?
What's
so my
up?
question to you is, like, you're a smart dude, and how can you still believe in a young earth? Like, I hold Michael Jones' position. I don't want to, like, get into, like, the logistics, but, like, how do you still hold to a young earth?
How do you not hold to it, given the fact that it's built on so many lies? Like,
Well, what about Neanderthals? What about Neanderthals, for example? How do you
Neanderthals,
explain
right?
that?
So, what about Piltdown Man, Nebraska Man? You know, they're frauds.
Wait, what is that? What are you talking about?
You don't even
What did you
know.
say?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't hear you.
I don't-
What you-
Mhm. Piltdown Man, Nebraska Man, they're famous frauds. And that's your example, your supposed that's your go-to, is this famous freaking laughable frauds. Cavemen. The Geico cavemen is what you go to. Literally, like, one of the most famous examples of this is, like, the most famous hoax. Piltdown Man, and by the way, Nebraska Man's exact same. And why is Teilhard de Chardin popping up at all these, by the way? Anybody else looking for people who disagree? Look for the Muslims, the Mormons, the atheists, the dispensationalists, the Protestants, the Roman Catholics, the Gnostics. I just simply am way more of a skeptic on scientism claims than what's his name, Inspiring Philosophy would be. Inspiring Philosophy defaults to a lot of this scientism domain, and I don't. I think a lot of that stuff is fraudulent. Oh my gosh, here we go.
Hey Jay, how are you?
What's up?
Nothing much. So I come from a Muslim background, and I just recently watched your debate with Jake Brancatella, so I'm not as philosophical, or I'm not as smart in philosophy as you guys are, so I had struggle, understanding the terms and everything in the debate, but I understand your point of that we count God by division and not by identity, and I just wanted to understand why is that we don't count it by identity.
I didn't say that. I said that we count in different things in different ways, and I said that the ancient world counted by division, and that was uncontroversial, because you can look at Al-Ghazali, you can look at Aristotle, you can look through medieval arithmetic manuals. Like, that's how they counted. That's why the Nicene Creed says that God is one and indivisible. And when you read, for example, Maximus the Confessor, he talks about the monad is first, and then we have from the monad the dyad, and it's a splitting of the monad into a dyad and then into a triad. So that's literally dividing, counting by division.
No, I understand the concept of counting by division, and I don't think that it's inherently illogical. You know what I mean? Like, if we split a pie into 3 parts, it's still 1 pie. You know what I'm trying to say? But
the point was that both Christians and Muslims would require counting both by division and by identity, depending upon what they were picking out in their respective deities. So when a Muslim picks out the singular divine essence, Al-Ghazali would say that God is indivisible. But when you're picking out specific divine attributes, you would need to identify them and pick them out in a different way.
But we still recognize that there are multiple attributes. We don't say that there are one attribute. We count the attributes by identity as well, because they're...
I just said you count the attributes by identity.
So in what way do we count God? In the Islamic conception, in what way do they count God by
My point was that you also would require the same form of counting in both ways as we would.
No, I understand. No, of course, yeah.
And that was against the position of Jake, who was that the only way to count is identity, which is more of a modern idea.
No, I understand your point now, but I'm trying to say, in what sense in the Islamic conception do they count by divisibility? By the essence?
When, for example, if you're talking about the unity or tawheed, For example, Al-Ghazali speaks of God as one and indivisible. He literally has an entire section about counting Allah and his unity via division, because the ancient world counted that way. You don't get to counting by identity until you get into more of a philosophical medieval conception where you have things that are not dividable that can still be counted. So, for example, abstract objects, logical laws, sets. It makes no sense to count those types of things by division, and so they're counted by identity.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. Right,
so what's the question about Allah and attributes, or does that answer it?
Oh, no. You addressed it. I'm just going to do more research on my own. I'm just going to say you and Jake make really compelling points. I think you guys are probably the smartest out of all the apologetics on YouTube. So,
what compelling point did Jake make?
Well, I didn't really see how we count, why it would make sense to count God by division and not by identity when we see that...
Did you not hear anything that I said? So you're not listening to what I said?
No, I heard what you said. I understand.
When did I say that we don't count God by identity also? I didn't say that. I said that, for example, I said both positions would utilize both things because different ways of counting are picking out different types of things. So, for example, when we say that God is one and indivisible in the creed, that's a reference to the divine essence. But when we start picking out specifics like the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, those are properties that are being picked out that are identities.
Of course, and that's why you claim that there are three persons, but not there are three God, because there are three identities. But that's what I'm trying to say, is that if there are three different identities and each three of them are individually fully God, then why would there not be three gods?
Because the term God is intended, first of all, to pick out the person of the Father. And so there's God by identity, and then there's God by predication. So the argument that you're making there assumes that the word God only picks out one thing. But in divine revelation, for example, the word God picks out multiple things, such as divine persons, divine energies, the divine essence, divine human people that are called gods or divinities, and then angels that are called gods or divinities or demons. The word God, G-O-D, is a broad term that can be used to pick out all of those things. And so the entire Muslim argument is premised on a word concept fallacy that the word God only picks out or has a reference to one thing. And that's the mistake. And I'm pointing out that even in your own system, it doesn't work that way, which is why we ask Jake the questions about whether all his attributes are self-existent, because it would be the same problem applied to the attributes that you're making to us.
I see. So,
do you?
What I would then ask would be, if God has this nuanced definition, so when you make the statement from a Trinitarian,
you have the same position. You have the same metaphysical scheme at work.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm just trying to understand this. So when we say that the Father is God, you're saying that it's both predication and identity?
With the Father is God because he is source, arc, fount, cause, etc. Yes, and the Son and the Spirit participate in divinity by predication, right? So they receive their divinity from the Father. But properly speaking, in monarchical Trinitarianism, the word God is a reference to the person of the Father.
Okay, so only the Father can be used, God, in an identical form, but for the Son and the Holy Spirit, it would have to be in a predicative form. Am I understanding that correctly?
Because they receive. It's not wrong to call the Son God because he has the divine nature, but it's for us first and foremost. God picks out the person of the Father, but it can also be used to pick out the divine nature, divine operations, and it can also be used to pick out human and angelic and demonic entities. The demons are called gods, for example.
So then, if I were to say
the
Son is...
Can I give you an example?
Sorry, I just want to ask one quick question. So if I were to say the Son is God, then I'm not really saying that he is God in the identical sense. I'm saying that he is divine. He possesses God's essence, but he's not actually God in the identical sense.
Not in the sense of being the Father, because the Father is, properly speaking, the cause, the fount, the source, etc. Then that's why Jesus says the Father is greater. That's the Orthodox understanding of monarchical Trinitarianism.
I see. But then, that's when I start to see what Justin Martyr was talking about in his dialogue with Trypho, because you just denied the identity of God with Jesus Christ, when I think a majority of Orthodox Christians would say, no, Jesus Christ, or the Son, is God by identity. Like, it's not just a mere predication.
That's just assuming, again, that argument is assuming equalitarianism and that the word God only has a reference to the divine nature. And that's the very thing that we just pointed out is not monarchical Trinitarianism.
No, my gripe is really that when we're saying the Son is God or Jesus Christ is God, we're not actually saying that he is in the identical sense, where it's more akin to saying God or Jesus Christ is divine.
He is the divine Son who possesses the divine nature.
Many Christians find that problematic, though, to deny the.
I mean, I'm a defender of Orthodox Christianity, which is the teaching of the Second Ecumenical Council on monarchical Trinitarianism. So I don't care what Roman Catholics think, don't care what Protestants think. We're not interested in a popularity contest. And by the way, the Muslim view is the exact same. It's just not with persons; it's with attributes. Do you believe that Allah's attributes are God?
No. He possesses attributes.
Okay, so the attributes are not God by identity.
No.
So they don't self-exist?
No.
They depend?
They're not dependent.
Well, if they don't self-exist, then they are so self-existence means that they are independent. So they can't be dependent.
I see. So if they're dependent on God, what would be the implications of that position?
Then the word God cannot just refer to Allah in one sense. It also has to pick out other things, and you have to have other ways of counting and distinguishing in Allah.
So because the attributes are dependent on Allah, that means that the attributes would have to be considered God as well?
I mean, I'm asking you the position. Are they God by identity? Are they God by participation? Are they dependent or self-existent? Huh?
I don't think the attributes are God in any sense. I think they're just attributes.
Allah's word is not Allah?
Of course not. No, it's Allah's word.
Are they uncreated or created?
I would say Allah's word is created.
Allah's word is created. So the attributes of Allah are created. That's sure.
I see what you're positioning now. Yeah, it's really philosophically perplexing. You see.
Well, I mean, you've had centuries of your own people debating this, right? I mean, I got a book right here where,
of course,
where a bunch of your own people are calling you guys anthropomorphic heretics, critique of the Palmyrian Creed. So, I mean, do you agree with Jake's position that Allah has a uncreated foot?
Yeah, we could just posit that we don't know the howness or the winess.
I mean, you can say that, but what is a foot that's nothing like a foot?
Well, then you're positing that we must know the howness and winess of God. But
is the foot okay? I don't care how you frame it, however you want. Is the foot uncreated or created? You said Allah has created attributes, which is heresy, by the way, in your position.
Well, I'm fallible. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm still in the learning process.
Okay, do you guys kill each other over that, or is that cool? Let's go, I'm fallible. Just say I'm fallible. It's like I can commit shirk, but I'm fallible. Didn't you guys kill each other? The Mutakalemim, the Mutazila, were there battles over this?
Of course there were battles over it.
Okay, so do we know? I thought this was simple position, like all is one, right? Are the attributes created or uncreated?
Well, I don't know why the attributes would even be in an argument, because we're not positing that the attributes are separate individual person and that are
so you in other words you don't want me to bring them into the argument because it shows that you have the exact same metaphysical problem that you're putting on me.
I just don't understand how the argument is even
because it shows the stupidity of the position to say that Allah has an uncreated foot, and then you just said that Allah has created attributes.
No, but you see, this is how I'm understanding it. So the Trinitarian concept is that there's three.
So now you're going to my position. I want to know about.
I'm trying to compare the two.
Is there an uncreated foot or a created foot? Is Allah's foot uncreated or created? Which one is it?
Oh, sir, I'm not sure. But the thing is, I'm not.
Hold on. So you don't have a so you don't have a school. There's no Akida for you. You can just make it up as you go, or what?
Well, sir, I don't need to commit myself to a certain Akida on this stream.
I'm
just trying to ask questions.
Okay, yeah. All right. So that's dishonest.
See that what my point was.
Troy. See, I don't have to commit to any. No, you do if you're going to teach Islam. You're supposed to be part of some school. There's no make it up as you go. And you heard him say that Allah has created attributes. The speech of Allah is created. That's pretty much, I think every Muslim believes that's heresy. I don't think there's any Muslims left that think that. Troy, unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
So I'm an ex-Gnostic coming into Orthodoxy, and I just have pretty much a question for something I'm confused about, which is how is Lady Wisdom in Proverbs understood in Orthodox? Is she identified with Christ the Logos, the divine feminine?
Yes, Paul in the Paul in the New Testament identifies Christ as the wisdom of God. So it's a personification of God's wisdom. But that wisdom is the second person of the Godhead. There's no feminine person in the Trinity. There's no that's a Gnostic idea. In fact, I was just reading Carl Jung, who says that he's a Gnostic because the Trinity banished the goddess from the Godhead. So, but it's also a reference to the church. The church is the feminine, the house of God that's built on 7 pillars that offers bread and wine. As the text discussed, that's a prediction of the Eucharist, the divine liturgy. There's also a reference to probably Mary the Theotokos.
That's actually fantastic. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah, great questions. I'm glad that somebody nobody's ever brought that up. That's actually a really good question. Jubba? Glitchy Rhythm, $5. Jay, explain why Protestants. Can you explain to the Protestants why we're not all saints? They love discrediting saints with the verse from Corinthians. Well, we're all saints in potentia, or we're all called out, but not everybody is at the level of a St. Paul or a St. Basil. So that's, to me, that seems like it should be a no-brainer. What's up, man? Jubba.
Hey. All right, I have a question about icons. There's this argument against icons that I don't know how to answer.
Okay.
So, the argument is that God's essence is inaccessible and beyond human comprehension. Even in Christ's hypostatic union, his divine nature remains unseen and ineffable. So, St. Gregory wrote about this, about God's invisible nature being beyond human reach, thus representing Christ's divine essence through icons contradicts the belief that God's divinity is entirely invisible.
Right, and so that's why the Seventh Ecumenical Council says that it's not the divine essence that is depicted in the icons, it's the divine hypostasis of the Son, not the ousia, it's the person. And the reason that we can interact with the divine person is through the energies of the persons. So the energies are in hypostatic, and as the Seventh Ecumenical Council says, you can read On the Holy Icons by St. Theodore. In that book, he says that what's circumscribed is the divine hypostasis. The divine essence is uncircumscribable. So you have to have the distinction between nature and person and between essence and energy to have iconography.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question. And again, On the Holy Icons by St. Theodore the Studite explicitly answers that very question. Everybody should read that one if they're interested in iconography. Anybody else disagree? Anybody have any challenges? We still got 1,200 people over here. Let me check to see if I missed a super chat over here on Streamlabs. Cletus here. I want to find your video. I'll send you $50 if you find me the link. I mean, that's come up a lot. I mean, it's not like the video, that question's never come up. I just don't remember off the top of my head where we've done so many live streams and that question's come up so many times. I have to think of how that guy that made the clip worded it. Let's try valid baptism. I don't know why this comes up. This is not about that. It's just not going to come up. See, that they change the algorithm all the time. And then stuff that used to come up doesn't come up. Maybe the Clips channel guy like took his Clips channel down. I don't know. Maybe it's not there anymore. I just don't even understand, like, why is it even an issue? Like, just do what your bishop says. Like, why are you... Like, it's the practice of ROCOR to baptize everyone that comes to ROCOR. And that's because jurisdictions are decentralized and they can make those decisions as they choose. I just don't understand why this is a hang-up for you. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just not like, to me, this is like not even like, this is like the what Paul calls milk. It's time to move on to the meat. I'm not dissing you. I just don't understand the hang up or what the problem is. Let's try Sacraments. See what we get with that. I don't know. I don't understand the Roman Catholic mindset that they think this is like a defeater for Orthodoxy. It's like they have an expectation that the Orthodoxy will operate like Roman Catholicism, and so if there's like a jurisdictional differentiation, they think that's a defeater. The assumption is that there's like a one size fits all. Like I don't understand I don't think it's the Orthodox Clips guy, but let me see if he clipped it. Oh, here it is. This is it.
Like, this is something that would need to be settled because there's a lot of...
Or is this it? I think this is it. Debunking the Donatus accusation. It may be that one. Let's see. Protestantism. Thomism. I think it's this one.
Like, this is...
Because this Anglican dude that we had this debate with, if you want, you can go listen to the whole Anglican debate, which was about a month ago. If you just go look at the live streams, you'll find the debate I had with the Anglican dude. They got pretty heated. I think that's the video. And I'm not just picking that because you said you give $50, but I mean, he's got this listed as rebaptism in the church. I actually think there was another. I think that one addresses it, but I actually think there was another one, a different Clips channel. Anyway, just do what they tell you, man. Smiley Todd, what's up?
Hey, before I say something, have you ever thought of naming your thing like the Dyer situation?
What
Something
now?
like that. Have you ever thought of naming your thing like the Dyer situation? Like, you know, D-I-R-E situation, or Dire Straits. Second of all, in Yahwehism, you know, the proto-religion before God that showed himself to the ancient Judeans.
Yeah, I don't believe that exists. I don't believe that.
Yeah, but like Ashira. Do you think Ashira is like a typology of the theocracy, like an early concept in the subconscious, or like an early version of what humans would consider the Holy Ghost, like a primordial concept before we understood there was one God?
No, and I don't believe any of that. So, no. Squirrel and Oz. Are you there? Unmute. Squirrel in Oz.
There I am. How you doing?
What's on your mind?
Yeah, check it out. So I was raised Protestant and actually Pentecostal of all things. And
observe an inquirer into Orthodox, and I was going through prayer book, and there's particular prayer in our morning prayers where it's led towards the Theotokos, and some of it I just can't get my head around to where it doesn't seem like you're just worshiping the Theotokos and asking the Theotokos for forgiveness.
So, okay. Well, she's praying for us, and I understand that objection. I did a video that you should watch on the Mary as the Ark of the Covenant, so I'd go watch that 40-minute video, and that will help, I think, to explain the biblical case for the Marian doctrines. But it's not FAQ night, so I'm looking for people who disagree. So if you have a disagreement, if you're a Catholic or Protestant dispensationalist, so it's not catechumen night. I look for people who disagree, like the Muslim guy. That was a great Muslim interaction. Grubbs McGee, $10. Did you see the controversy about Seraphim Holland? I did not. His clip says works are necessary for salvation. It triggers the Protestants. I'm not familiar with that clip, but I mean, it's funny because the Protestants get so tripped up on word concept fallacies, and there's absolutely a sense in which works are necessary for salvation. I mean, that's literally what James says. And when you look at when Paul says in Galatians 5 that the faith that counts is the one that worketh through love, that's Paul saying that a working faith is the only one that saves you, therefore works are necessary. Cletus says for $50, thank you. My issue, to be clear, is that if it's a contradiction with the theology and problem of rebaptism without addressing post-baptismal sins, aka what if God asked me about my sins prior to corrective baptism and he considers my first baptism valid? I mean, you're becoming Orthodox, so God's led you to Orthodoxy. God's not the bean counter trying to trick you up on the Roman Catholic baptism being valid, and then now it just doesn't. You need to be immersed in the Orthodox mindset and stop thinking in a Roman Catholic mindset. And so it's not rebaptism, it's just baptism. So it's not corrective baptism, it's literally just baptism because there's only one baptism. And I don't understand what you said, contradiction with theology, with Roman Catholic theology. Because the Orthodox position is not that there has to be a one-size-fits-all. The Sixth Ecumenical Council, for example, says in certain cases people need to be rebaptized or, quote, just baptized because they were baptized into the eunomian position, right? Which is a single immersion that presupposes a anti-Trinitarian theology. And then they talk about other situations where people can be received through profession of rejection of the heresies. So if it's a schism, then everything was done correctly, but they might have been just in schism. And so the impediment to receiving the grace is removed by the profession of error, or rejecting the error. There's no need to do the ritual over again, right? So that's why, for example, the Novatianists and the Canons of Nicaea are received without being rebaptized or revested. It's a case-by-case basis. There's not a one-size-fits-all. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's like you have a presupposition of a Roman Catholic mindset that unless Orthodoxy has a single way for every jurisdiction and every bishop to do this, then it's a, quote, contradiction. Economia means that there's flexibility with the interpretation and application of the canons. It's not possible to keep all the canons. They're insane, many of them. They're impossible. They're about places that no longer exist. They're for their time and for their place. Clergy can't ride horses in ancient canons. That was because in the Middle Ages there's nobility, and clergy are not members of the state. They're clergy. So they can't ride on horses, which is a sign of nobility. So idiots read the canons and they think, the priest can't ride a horse because the ancient canon said it. Now, but the ancient canon said you can't go pray in the synagogue. Yeah, because the principle there is not bound by time and space. This is an eternal principle about true worship, the Ten Commandments. And so you can't go and pray with the Protestants and the Roman Catholics in their churches and celebrate the Mass and the Novus Ordo because they don't have the Orthodox faith. So it's a violation of the moral principle that the canon expresses. That moral principle doesn't change. It never becomes the case that, oh, we can go and pray in the mosques now. It's cool because the Pope says so, and he does it. Okay, that doesn't fluctuate. The principle stays the same, right? It's the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law, that matters. So what was the spirit of the law that clergy can't ride on a horse? Is that clergy are supposed to be distinct from the civil state. Because the canons of Chalcedon, by the way, which refutes the papacy, say that no clergy can be a member of the state. And by the 11th century, the Gregorian reforms, the papacy becomes a world emperor with armies. That violates the ancient canons of Chalcedon. How do I know that that's a canon that isn't time-bound and fluctuating and based on the times? Because the principle is forever there that the state is not the church. That's not something that evolves and fluctuates over time. They're two distinct entities. That's the meaning of the Byzantine double-headed eagle. And what does Jesus say about the law, right? What does Paul say? It's the spirit of the law. It's not the letter of the law. And what does every idiot and spurg do? They go by the letter of the law and they think that it's all like an eternal, timeless, like if you go to the shows, you're an idolater, right? There's always some 18-year-old catechumen who converts and he reads the canons and says that because it tells you can't go to the shows, if you go to the movies, you're damned. It's not talking about the movie theater. It's talking about the ancient pagan festivals that would require you to worship the deities to go to the, quote, shows. Vinluv. You're not saved by faith alone. The Bible never says you're saved by faith alone. It says saved by faith apart from the works of the Jewish law. You added the faith alone part. And in fact, you are not saved by faith alone. Paul says that you are saved by faith that works in love. A working faith, keeping the commandments of love is what saves you. Are you there? Did you want to talk or not? Okay, we're back to Cornelius.
Hello?
Yeah.
Thank you, and excuse my bad English. So I don't know if it's up to debate, and I don't know if we even disagree. So I'd have to elaborate. I'm Orthodox Christian and disagree with the philosophical foundation of libertarianism, yet I don't disagree with the conclusions, especially the economic conclusions, like ownership of the body and of your own body, and therefore
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Vin Lou, what's up?
Yeah.
No.
What do you think is the most succinct way of like getting out of the what is it called, Coptic Church? Like, what's the strongest argument to why it's a false heresy?
Maybe the two letters of Cyril to Sixcensus, which admits that he has a human nature after the resurrection.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of Coptic apologetics is that we have the same funny hats as you do, so we're equally true, if not more so. It's more obsessed with the aesthetics of it than the actual theology of it.
Well, it's funny because they're basically losing their iconographic tradition. So if they're going to be obsessed with aesthetics, they should have maintained the iconographic tradition. But a lot of those churches have a giant TV screen. You go to an Armenian Orthodox church, so-called, and you'll find giant TV screens in the sanctuary in the service. So it's hard to take that very seriously when you've got big TV, like it's like a sports bar in there with a bunch of TV screens. I remember when Roosh was leaving Armenian Orthodoxy, he said he couldn't believe that there's all these giant TV screens in there in the service. So I mean, yeah, you kind of have to look at the theology. You can't solve it by like, who's got the more cool aesthetic. And of course, Coptics don't have a cool aesthetic. So, sorry. I don't see anybody else, so if there's no more questions. I don't see any more super chats. Maybe we'll call it a night. Big Chunk. Why didn't God make the world smaller in size so then everyone could hear the gospel? That's really funny, dude. Vane, $5. Funds towards your plane ticket to Nashville so that you can host an IRL event or do stand-up at Zany's. I don't think Zany's is going to invite me anytime soon, but people thought my crowd work at the horror convention was pretty funny. I wish that I'd done some crowd work with the horror convention people. I could have really ripped on them. They might have thrown me out though, because I don't know if they could take. I just don't know how the bunch of horror weirdos are going to take my jokes. But it would be fun to do an event in Nashville again. Appreciate that, Vane. So hype. She's so high.
Hello.
Yep.
I just wanted to say, do you think that the Eastern Orthodox and the Oriental Orthodox are closer to reunification?
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Because I do believe that both churches have affirmed the same Christology.
No.
In the 90s, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, all of these ecumenical gatherings where we all get together and pretend we're saying the same thing, they don't really accomplish much. I don't really keep up with that kind of stuff. Maybe they're moving in the right direction towards us, or it's all just kind of everybody holding hands and singing Kumbaya and pretending that we have the same theology. I don't know. I want to make sure I didn't miss a super chat. I guess as I missed his earlier. Big Chuck. I think, didn't you say the same joke earlier? Because I did see that joke. Maybe I just didn't read the joke because it was so bad. I guess I just missed it. But, I mean, bro, you throwing down dollar super chats, which dollar's not even worth $1 anymore. Dollar's worth like 60 cents. So, basically, you're throwing a 60-cent super chat. But I appreciate it. Better than a no-cent super chat. There's still 80 people here. No one has a disagreement. We had one feisty Muslim who said Allah has created attributes, and then he walked it back. I was like, oops. 80 people. No one disagrees. I'm going to assume everybody has everything correct. Nobody? Father Deacon missed out on this one. He missed... What was that one guy saying, that he spoke to Jesus and that Jesus was going to give everyone bread? That dude was tripping me out. Tallahassee Patriot.
Hey Jay, I'm in my car right now. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Yeah, so I was baptized Russian Orthodox as an infant. Spent most of my life in Protestant churches for some complicated family reasons, and I've been in a MacArthur-esque church in Tallahassee the past handful of years. But I'm heavily exploring Orthodoxy, and your work and advocacy has been very impactful on that. Along with some of the add-on accounts like Orthodox Luigi and others on here, but I wanted to ask, and I know you've kind of talked about this before. I mean, probably a lot of times. I'm sure you get asked this a bunch, but I feel like one thing I've kind of wrestled with as to if I was to go go full Orthodox or come back into the church or however you want to word that, is how I would then view Protestant Christians, Reformed Christians, etc. Because I feel like I've heard conflicting takes on that. I've heard some Orthodox Christians say, well, I'm not going to say that they're not saved, but they're not in the fullness of biblical truth. But then I know there's some Orthodox who are more hardcore with soteriology. So, what would you say about that?
I mean, again, I can't judge an individual person in terms of their ultimate destiny. But what we can say is what we're told to say by the church, which is that outside the church, you're outside the ark. And you're not just outside the ark, you're also in a situation professing heterodox ideas. There's no Christology outside the Orthodox Church that's the Orthodox Christology. There's no uncreated grace in Protestant pseudo-sacraments. In fact, Protestants aren't even called a church in the canons. They're called a parachurch because they don't even have apostolic succession. So you don't even have what's necessary to have a, quote, church, because the church is built on the foundation stones of the apostles, as Ephesians says. That means the succession of the bishops in the church. So while there may be sincere people in Protestantism, and the Holy Spirit is definitely working in people's hearts to bring them to orthodoxy, we're not in any position to say, well, the sufficient means of grace are in Protestantism. If anyone was saved in, quote, Protestantism, it's in spite of Protestantism, and it's because they're united to the mystical body of the church, which is the Orthodox Church. It's not because of anything to do with, quote, Protestantism. Because it's the church is the ark. So, and again, when we look at the distinctives of Protestantism, what do we find in the first 1,000 years of Christianity that have the distinctives of Protestantism? All the heretical sects. The Montanists, the Massalians, the Iconoclasts, the Pelagians. I mean, all of these different positions that many Protestant groups hold, we find that, I'm not talking about John MacArthur. I know John MacArthur wouldn't be a Pelagian. I'm just saying that, we look at these different groups. There are Pelagian Protestant groups. There's Unitarian Protestant groups. There's anti-Trinitarian Protestant groups. There's, you name it. Those are all the ancient heresies. So it's like saying there's nice people in the ancient heresies. So, like, is it okay if they just stay in the ancient heresies? No. I know you're not saying that. I'm just saying, like, I can't sit there and tell individual people, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell. That's not what we're told to do. Paul says, what do I have to do with judging those that are without? We judge those that are within. But we tell them to come in. And whether they do or don't is up to them. Yo, $5. I watched your Holy Mountain review today. Can you recommend other titles to watch? I don't recommend you watch Holy Mountain. That movie is gross and blasphemous. Because it's such an important so-called, occult film, we watched it a few years ago. And it's kind of the ending was kind of anticlimactic. It did have a couple interesting insights into, like, the coming smart cities, if you remember that section in the video, and the SEX bots is hinted at. So there's some pretty wild sort of predictive stuff in there, kind of like Metropolis from Fritz Lang. But I mean, if you're looking for weird occult movies that have predictive elements, I just did a talk on this called Satanic Cinema, and I list a ton of movies that would be kind of in that vein of having predictive elements, and first one that comes to mind would be Metropolis. But I don't recommend any of the Jodorowsky's films are just gross and blasphemous. All right, well, I don't see anybody else, so thank you guys. It was a lot of fun tonight. Just getting ready for church tomorrow. Everybody, hopefully you can make it out to church. And everybody have a good night. Oh, by the way, head on over to chalk.com. I can't forget our beloved show sponsor right here. Head over to the website. You can get signed copies of the books, and you'll notice the link to chalk.com right here. Head on over here and get 44% off this performance stack by using the promo code JAY44LIFE, JAY44LIFE, and you'll get 44% off that performance stack that includes the Action 2.0, that super powerful Chad mode pre-workout. Be careful with that. It's so powerful. And the Tomcat Elite, again, also very powerful. So take these in moderation. I took 2 Tomcats one day, and I was like, my heart was like fluttering. I was up all night. So if you want to get sleep, don't take a bunch of either Chad mode or Tomcat late at night. The ingredients are not toxic. It's all super pure, super stringent on their criteria for what ingredients they use over at Chalk. I was just talking to Seaton yesterday. We were getting into some of these products, and I think that he's very happy with what we're doing over here. Longtime sponsor. I think we're going on almost maybe 5 years now, 4 or 5 years, and great company, great product, super awesome Bays dudes over there. So support good companies like Chalk.com by getting those products at a discount, JAY44LIFE. Use that promo code. You can cancel at any time, by the way, and it's not just for dudes. There's also a female vitality sack here. And you don't have to buy the packs. You can buy the individual products if you want. The Shilajit, great for your mood regulation if you're one of the ladies. For focus, Irish Moss, also great for that. A lot of minerals that are missing in our typical American diet, you can find that. Things like ashwagandha. You can find that 7 Wonders is great for that. Chalk Daily is great for that. Head on over to chalk.com and use that promo code JAY44LIFE, JAY44